Welcome to this Age of Empires forecasted game, and today, spawning in the south corner of the map in pink, we've got guides above something. So it's Beastyqt, guys, okay? It's Beastyqt, and in the north corner of the map, his opponent today will be David Kim, playing in orange as the Delhi Sultanate. David Kim, that is puppypaw. So we've got Beastyqt in the south and puppypaw in the north, playing it out on dry Arabia with two interesting civilizations. I picked this match on purpose because of the civilization matchup. The Delhi versus the French, and I mean, let's talk a little bit about this. The reason why I'm excited about this matchup, not only because of the players, of course, very high level, but also the civilization matchup's not one that we've seen in a while, but also to consider the aggression levels in this matchup. So the French are a civilization that really kind of need that map control. They need the units to go across the map to be able to secure things like hunt. They really depend on the resources on the field, so whether it be hunt, boar, that kind of thing. But the Delhi Sultanate are very much similar, not so much because of the economy side of things in terms of resources, but they want the map positions because of the sacred sites. That's obviously a very strong win condition for them, and so they'll want to secure those to be able to, get that extra gold from the sacred sites. So these two civilizations will be battling it out into the mid-map and looking to be aggressive, to control the middle of the map. And I think that's the reason why this civilization matchup should be pretty interesting. Holy moly, wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Beastyqt moving forward, probably to get the deer pack, to be honest. It's going to probably put a mill. Oh, he's going to go for the boar first. Actually, that's interesting. This is actually a really big move. It may not seem like it, but the boar meat is, well, it's the fastest source of food in the game. And the reason why this is so critical at this stage, because, a lot of games in RTS, well, a lot of RTS games generally, the biggest moves you can make in an RTS game are usually the beginning, like the first few seconds of a game, first few minutes, really. Because they have the large impact as the game wears on. And the impact of this will be is that, well, Beasty's going to have 8 villages on this board. It's going to be a heck of a lot of food coming in. A lot more than, say, puppypaw will be getting in. It does delay him. Obviously, he had to have a bit of walking time with the villagers to get out there, to get the boar and then the deer. He's going to get survival techniques to supplement that. So he will be a little bit later than perhaps... I mean, it's going to be neck and neck in terms of what you could expect if you were stuck on sheep for these for his feudal age timing. And the main thing to consider, though, is that as time goes on, this pays for itself very quickly. Not only that, it means that there's a good chance that the economy is going to be a lot stronger for Beastyqt as he heads into the feudal age. He's going to be able to afford more French feudal knights, and that's going to pile on a lot more pressure onto puppypaw. So getting out onto the resources here early means that he'll be able to get units early, and therefore he's got a better chance of getting that map control, which is exactly the name of the game actually in this civilization matchup. I think the matchup really depends on who can get onto that map quickly. The other dimension to this matchup, which is pretty interesting, and it kind of hurts Delhi a little bit, is that, well, the French are going to be opening French Royal Knights, usually. As you can see, the School of Cavalry is going to be built now. And that will force the Delhi into getting spearmen, opening up with the barracks and getting spearmen. And the reason why that's kind of a problem for the Delhi Sultanate is because of the mobility. So mobility is king when it comes to map control, map positioning, and getting key locations on the map. You want the mobility. So going Spearman, Ghazi Raider could be an option for the Delhi Sultanate. But it's always a little bit tricky going Cavalry and Spearman. The reason for that is if you're going up against Cavalry and Archers, it's a tricky situation where the Archers can always kite. The Archers can always get damage per second done, with the ranged attack. And the Ghazi Raider Spearman combination is tricky. It only comes to a situation where you can only really do effective damage if you've got enough to push, deal a killer blow in a fight. Say, for example, the French have a group of knights and archers here, and puppypaw thinks he's got enough Ghazi Raiders and spearmen just to dive on this. The trouble is, as he walks in or rides in, the archers would be firing off, getting some damage nice and early. And if he decides suddenly that, we can't take the fight, he has to back off, well, then the archers are going to shoot them on the retreat. So you can see with that kind of game mechanic that, puppypaw would have to be very definitive about the fights he takes. And that makes things a little bit more tricky, That gives the advantage in a way to the player that's going cavalry archers, because they can kind of dance around here, kind of always threaten to take a fight but never really do it, and sometimes pick off some units with the archers. So I think in many ways this civilization matchup is very difficult for the Delhi Sultanate. It just feels like both civilizations have the same sort of goal, which is to get out onto the map, but the French just seem to do it a little bit better. And we do see a French Royal Knight coming out now as well, queued up. It's going to be coming out before 5 minutes 30 seconds, so pretty fast. As we'd expect because of the villages on board, and 4 villages on gold. So it's certainly going to be looking to be a first or a single town center opening, an archery range being added in very, very quickly into the feudal age. So it's going to be that knight's archer play. And it all comes down, and not all comes down to, but a lot of it is because of the fact he's got this boar nice and early. Plenty of food coming in. And it's really going to supplement these units. As you can see, the knight already halfway across the field. And, as you can see, it's already forced puppypaw into a barracks. And he's going to go for Ghazi Raiders. So it looks like the matchup's going to kind of pan out as how I thought it would do. We went for the Dome of the Faith, which will be getting him some more scholars, which could certainly help in a fight, to be fair. If we can get plenty of scholars out, that'd be pretty useful for him. Interestingly, though, he didn't actually go for a mosque. He went with the, he wanted to keep the wood for the barracks. So it does mean the research for the, yeah, that's interesting, actually. So it means that efficient production, this would have already been in by now if you got an instant mosque at the beginning of the game. But instead, we went for a bit of a faster feudal. It does also mean that sanctity will come in later. So he's going to be moving out into the middle of the map a little bit later than he perhaps would want to, or possibly could, but the issue is really he's going to struggle because he knows he's up against it with the knights coming in to be annoying. Here are the two spearmen looking to just see what's happening. The knight's actually at home. They could take out a scout. Where's the army for Beast? I'm expecting them to be... Oh, there they are. Okay, there they are. They're just riding in a little bit, just harassing. And yeah, I mean, this is interesting how this is going to pan out. I suspect Beast will be adding in possibly a second archer range as well, as time permits, and he is able to get more villages out onto wood. A little bit early now, of course. Plenty of villages on gold. So 6 villages on gold. He's going to be continuing that knight production and also looking to get those upgrades in amongst that. He's already got Bloomery, of course, but you get that for free with the French once you got the blacksmith. It's got the wheelbarrow and double broadaxe as well. So the eco upgrade is looking very nice for him. Of course, the Delhi Sultanate get the eco upgrades before he Beast needs to back away from there. It does just in time. It's almost there. He did get hit a little bit there with the knight on the retreat. But the good thing for the French Royal Knights is they can obviously get that upgrade. Chivalry. It's really, really strong. It's pretty cheap, really, when you think about it. 300 resources. When you compare that to the cost of a knight, which is 240 resources, it's quite a nice upgrade because if you can heal 2 knights fully from 0 health, and that's going to pay for itself, really. So it's an incredibly strong technology. Microing it well. If you don't lose too many, if you keep your units alive, it's a really way to recycle the resources. Now it is on to Deer Pack as well, and this is so strong. This is exactly what the French want to do. This is possible because of the early army production. And so for the French, it's really, really key to get this stuff done because this actually helped him get onto the map further and helps protect this economy for a lot longer. You can see Delhi Sultanate is having to protect the wood lines, always conscious about the possibility of knights coming in. He's actually gone for professional scouts. And that's certainly one way to do it. I mean, he may not be able to get onto the map, but with professional scouts who bring the resources from the map to him, which is a nice addition. A couple of archers here might get surrounded by the knights. He does. As others are the knights. Wait, they look orange, but they're not. Actually, that's actually Beastie's archers I did expect. But as you say, as we said earlier, we can see how it's happening now. The archers just kind of annoying, picking off a couple of HP off some of the spearmen. There is a possibility that some scholars might pop out to heal these units up. Could be an option. But BC never really has to engage. He just has to be annoying and just continue to get the map control and presence. As you can see though, Puppypaw looking to move on the west side and get a bit of mobility and action onto the map. He might want to pressurize here. Does have a couple of units here though. BC's got his rally point set out there. And that will certainly help him protect it. Yeah, there's that second stable rather. Holy moly. Okay, so he's going to go okay, yeah, double stable and, well, 1 stable school of cavalry. Effectively double stable and also the archery range. So he's really going to be pumping into this 1 TC feudal age play. It does look like, well, Puppypaw's little army has been spotted, and obviously, Beastie will look to try and chase that down. The Ghazi Raider will have the movement speed advantage, 1.88 tiles per second versus 1.62. So with good micro, he might be able to get some value out of that. But, keeping the army here is clever here for Beastie. Wants to protect that economy. Trying to get some value, but it's very difficult here because the economy is so well protected here for Beastie. He's heading out onto the west side now, looking to just snipe out some of those scouts. Has to drop out the food, and that's a problem. Now, there was once upon a time in Age of Empires 4 where the scouts didn't actually drop in movement speed when they were holding the carcasses. Those were crazy times. Trying to snipe them. It does snipe one of the scouts, who backs off with the rest there. Puppypaw. Tries to get a bit of value for the deer carcasses are, but doesn't really manage to. And it's a rough opening here for the Delhi Sultanate. I think a lot of it comes down to the mobility and the tempo aggression coming out from the French, just pushing him back. And a decent number of spearmen and archers, though, here for puppypaw, so he's committed to the archery range as well. It does have the Scholars Garrison side for the efficient production. He's going to be running out of sheep soon, and that's going to be tricky, because then he's going to have to venture out onto the berries. I say sheep, but there's deer carcasses there. It's been very difficult for him to bring those deer carcasses in. There are two or three there, so he's probably going to get that in next. I think a Beastie might want to pressurize that if he can, but he's going to look to fight in the middle and push through there. Yeah, he's going to be playing safe. He wanted to try and take Beastyqt's deer pack, actually. Looks like he got a few of them, though. Oh no, he took a few of them away. So it does actually hinder Beastyqt's expansion a little bit. Getting an outpost to protect that economy and get that deer pack, which is obviously what the French want to do. It's quite a nice approach here for puppypaw to try and deny the pocket economies that are there by getting professional scouts. Hasn't been able to do too much, though, because obviously the boar has already been taken, the deer pack's already been taken, and Beastie's going to look to take the secondary deer pack on his side of the map. Now, getting into almost the 12th minute of the game, you can see how well Beastyqt and the French have done of stifling the Delhi Sultanate away from the sacred sites. That's such a big deal. A couple of Ghazi raiders going on the east side. Maybe look to harass the villagers on the boar again, or the deer pack again. There is army waiting there. Good chunk of army there for Beastie in the middle of the map. Large number of knights, has to be said. Holy moly. I guess he's got double stables, so those will do really well, especially if he just hits some runs, keeps those knights healing up afterwards. Go for the deer villagers. They do back off. They go back home. Most of the carcasses have been taken, but 2 villagers did die. It's because Beastie took their army away. Just at the wrong time, I guess, for him. We're going to lose a couple of archers, but the archers are heading to that position there for Beastie. He's going to be splitting up his army. The archers and the knights. Knights going to be following in behind, and as you can see, this is not a fight that the Delhi Sultanate can take, so he has to back off, and he does lose a Ghazi raider on the retreat there, I think, or at least lost a lot of HP in any case. The Ghazi raider is going to be out of position a little bit here. Going to bring in a couple more deer packs. What does he do after deer packs are gone? It's going to be a hard farming transition, which is not really what he wants. Does have some berries at the back, though, which will certainly help things. Alrighty, sorry for the kind of stuttering at times. It's because my computer is starting to overheat a little bit. It's very hot in the UK at the moment. Here comes a big battle in the middle of Puppypaw's base with the knights there, with the archers as well. And this is where it becomes a bit tricky for Puppypaw. Because, well, Beastie never has to super engage. He just has to back off. He's going to kite, as you can see is happening right now. And that is a problem for Puppypaw. The knights diving in, always threatening, but the spearman going to push that away nicely. The archers back off now. The good thing for Puppypaw is he does have archers of his own. I think the fight is completely different if he didn't have the archers of his own. So I think the switch to spearmen and archers is actually quite nice here for Puppypaw. Beastie about to ride in again with his knights. Alright, but the good thing for Beastie with the chivalry upgrade is just going to heal up these knights. Which is certainly what he wants. The Ghazi raid is going to go back home and try and assist in the fight. They weren't there in the initial fight and engagement. That might have hurt him a little bit. It does have a lot of military on the field though, Puppypaw. 70 military. And it comes down to the fact that obviously his units are a little bit cheaper. The knights are very expensive here for the French. He engages against the horsemen, or the Ghazi raiders rather. He backs off as the spearmen trying to edge in. The number of archers aren't all that huge here for Beastie. I don't think this is necessarily a fight he wants to take, but he should be able to run away. Or he's going to whittle down the number of spearmen. I think the trouble for Puppypaw is if he loses the spearmen, then the knights will dive in very, very quickly. Spearmen engage. Try to at least. They brace. Knights continuing to try and get some value. A lot of them do get snared though. A couple of knights do go down there for Beastie. The archers in the back line for Puppypaw are going to snipe in as many of them on the retreat as they can. I think the archer numbers are actually starting to build up for the French, and that's a concern. But a good engagement overall. I wonder if the scholars coming out would have helped a little bit. It doesn't actually have any. They're mostly in the production buildings, so that's fair enough. But the knights are starting to clean things up. The spearmen are almost all gone, if not already all gone. The archers now are going to focus on each other, and, well, this is a problem. Because these knights are going to have free reign. I think Puppypaw has to back off from this. It's not really a fight he can take at this point, but now he's pigeoned back at home. He lost a lot of military. It was like 70 to 50 something. Now it's dead even, 45 apiece. The economy a little bit stronger here for Puppypaw, surprisingly enough, especially because of the fact that, well, Beastie does have the faster working town centre. He's lost a lot of vills on the way though somewhere. Lost 13 of them. I think the Gaza raid has done a lot of bit of damage there, and it comes down to how much action is happening. Puppypaw has done really well not to have lost many villagers. Knights gather in. They're just going to dive on the archers. And it's going to take a good fight. There's just not enough spearmen here for Puppypaw. He should be able to clear this up. The villagers on the wood line though, they're going to be perishing. Oh, the villager count starting to even out a little bit. That was rough for Puppypaw with the villagers there on the wood line. Certainly the matchup is heating up. I think the switch to spearmen and archers has been a good one for Puppypaw overall, but the trouble is it's meant that he has that lack of mobility. I think a lot of the Ghazi raiders have lost their lives and did get the sacred site on the west side in and amongst all of that, but it's going to be deactivated. There's no real way for him to protect it. And that's a big part of the issue in this matchup. The fact that Beasties keeping Puppypaw all the way back home is really difficult. Has the presence of mind just to keep 3 knights there on the berries just in case Puppypaw was taking that. Hasn't been able to build any palisade walls. And a lot of it comes down to the map generation as well. It's very awkward for Puppypaw. There's no real natural wood lines to wall to each other. There's a wood line here, maybe to the edge of the map. It's just too big. It's just too far away, and he's denying the deer pack as well coming in from survival techniques. Survival techniques just hasn't been able to do as much as he would have wanted to. There is a boar on the map there that Beastie might look to take later on in the game. Okay, triple archer range. So he's really going to focus on the archers now. A good defensive unit. Okay, a couple of scouts do spot out the knights. They're going to try and charge it down and chase them out. Trouble is, where does Puppypaw go from here? It's got the villager deficit. It does have a little bit more army. Beastie can always poke and prod. And looks like that's what it's going to do. You can see these knights healing up very nicely. This is tricky for the Delhi. He's not been able to leverage their bonuses of sanctity. Being able to get the sacred sites. He had one for a short period of time, but here comes maybe another engagement. That woodline's looking a bit sketchy, and it's almost gone as well. The problem for Delhi soon is going to be wood. The knights dive in, the archers in the back line. Decent number of spearmen though, always pushing Beastie away. Backing off, doesn't want to get focus fired on with the archers, and the spearmen try and push their way through. The knights always possibly diving in. The knights tanking a lot of damage. I think the archers need to focus on each other. Oh, the knights do engage. They take a big hit, and a lot of these spearmen numbers did go down for Puppypaw, and that's when Beastie decides to dive in. And he's going to take the fight to clear out the rest of the spearmen, and now the knights can get free reign on these archers. Just not enough of the archer damage coming out. You can see they're kind of tickling these knights. Iron Undermesh is in for Beastie. Makes them a lot more resistant. Does lose a knight on the retreat. Decent archer numbers though. Means that he can still punish Beastie on the retreat. 49 of them. Trying to get the bearers on the west side, but look at that Beastie consistently denying any sort of expansion on the pocket economies. And now the knights dive in. I don't think there's enough knights though. They will do a lot of damage to the archers on the back line of that because these knights are tanking a lot. Villagers on the wood line. Oh, that's actually painful. The wood has all gone, and now the problem for Puppypaw is where does he get wood from? I don't think he can have access to it. If Beastie just keeps up pressure, denies further wood, Puppypaw is going to be in all sorts of problems. The archer numbers though looking good for Puppypaw. Should be able to push this back. No line formation for him though. The knight's about to dive in again. We'll be able to snipe 2 of them at least. There's a couple of full health knights there though. It's going to be difficult to deal with. The archers kiting back as much as they can, but villagers going down. Look at that, 40 villagers for Puppypaw. It all comes down to that wood line, and Beastyqt, he knows it. He's scouted. He understands the map. He's got good map awareness. He knows where to target, obviously, being a pro player, and he's just punished the map generation there with that wood line. And the 2 forward wood lines now for Puppypaw can be very difficult to take. And Beastie has kept Puppypaw away from wood for long enough. Has to back away for now though. Doesn't have the numbers he needs to fight. On the west, a bit of army. Yeah, he's going for the. He's taking Puppypaw's berries. He's taking his berries. And that's so rough. It's exactly what the French want to do. Just get all the free food that's on the map. And he's going to go to boar now as well. Such a clinical play. Clinical display as well of just how to play this matchup. And how he's playing the map generation as well. Beastyqt on another level today it seems. But Puppypaw still hanging in there. He's not all lost, but he did lose a lot of villagers, and that's really going to hurt him. Especially because sticking in one town centre, the French town centre is always producing faster. And Beastie does actually have more military as well, so it is looking tough for Puppypaw right now. But a lot of that's just come down to the sheer brilliance of Beastie. Looks like the army is going to group together. Well, Beastie might just be sensing a large push now. He knows he's done a lot of worker damage. He knows that puppypaw probably won't be able to produce as quickly as he would have wanted to. And now the villagers... Oh, no, this is bad timing for puppypaw. He's trying to go on that wood line. He's run out of wood, and Beastie knows it. How does puppypaw secure this wood line? And there's just not enough archers there. There's pure archers and one Ghazi raider. The number of knights there for Beastie, there's so many. He can't two-shot them even. It's probably three-shotting the knights, maybe. It's not going to be enough. Spearman might pop out, but he's going to get sniped instantly by the archers. He's going to dive underneath the town centre now, Beastie, and yeah, puppypaw can't gather wood. He's trying to on this wood line, but just one knight peeled off, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Puppypaw has been strangled out of this game, suffocated out of this game by the French. And I hope you enjoyed this casted game. It's a lot of strategy talk. I really enjoyed the matchup. Hope you guys did too. Hopefully, see you on the next casted game.